It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level when we shut down to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ulike.com. U-Like.
The Pete Sousa Show, live from Central Texas here, high atop the Alico building. We are locked and loaded for a Tuesday, presented by Slovacics once again. Thanks so much to Crawford Austin Properties and, of course, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, First National Bank of Central Texas, we love. And Secora Family Ford, baby. Let's go. Let's go cruising. Let's drive off the lot in a brand new whip after we hit Slovacics. Just go ahead and dip your toe in the water over at Secora Family Ford, particularly, right, if you're looking for a car. I can promise you it'll be a really chill experience, and people aren't going to be like down your throat, which is so annoying. I don't like that when I go to a department store. I don't like that when I'm working on a car. You know, Secora Family Ford, they're not like that. It's family in the name for a reason. So let's start off with the Cowboys. Okay. Do they have a pulse? Maybe. Should people get excited? No way. Their next 3 games are against the Eagles and Chiefs at home, and then they have the Lions on the road. So here's the good news for Cowboys fans that might feel like maybe we're over our skis after a big win on Monday night, because I'll talk about the game and taking it in first. What an awesome atmosphere. Like, these two teams kind of suck, and the place was like overflowing with people because, with Vegas, like, there's a lot of nomads. So there was probably just as many Cowboys fans as Raider fans in that building. And if you're a Cowboys fan, which, Cowboys fans are all over the world, maybe you're like, let's go to Vegas and make this a part of a really cool trip or weekend. So it was like, you could feel the energy. It was like palpable almost through the screen. And the Raiders played well early, and there was like a lot of juice. And then the Cowboys, I give them a lot of credit. Like, I'm so caught up, like a prisoner of the moment, and like in like the whole like Cowboys like hyperbole, that they struggled a little bit earlier. I was like, oh no, here we go. Like, it's gonna be, it's over. They didn't start CD, they didn't start Pickens, and I guess it was like some kind of disciplinary thing or a message that Schottenheimer was sending. But like, good for Schottenheimer, because when he put them in, CD in particular got off and played really well. And there was a moment, and we've probably seen it all now, either on our SportsCenter highlights or on social media, where Schottenheimer walks over to the two guys, almost as though he knew what was being talked about on Monday Night Football. And I don't think that he was, and gave them both a big hug and was like, yeah, all right. And the two of them were dying laughing. I mean, that's a great example of winning cures everything. The one thing I'll say that was really like, this is a little like, just like TV sports media interest I have. So the kickoff takes place. The Cowboys take the field. Okay. They run 2 plays. Troy Aikman immediately points out that I don't see Carl Pickens or CeeDee Lamb on the field. George Pickens, sorry. Carl Pickens was a Tennessee wide receiver. George Pickens or CeeDee Lamb on the field. And it's like a really great note. Like, I was sitting there doing work at home, and I looked up. I was like, wow, that's super interesting. So he goes on to talk about, like, that's kind of interesting. And we'll see, how the Cowboys play through that and what happens next. Then immediately, like, props to, I don't know how the hell this happened, but Lisa Salters is down there. This is an example of great sideline reporting. The moment after Troy says that, I think it's a play later, the Cowboys still had the ball. Or maybe they had punted. I don't know. I feel like they still had the ball. Lisa Salters pipes right in with an update that these 2 wide receivers are not starting the game. It is not injury related. It was a coach's decision. And she just talked to a member of the Cowboys personnel team, and that's all she could share. So 2 ways to look at that. One, first of all, I was like, was that scripted? Like, did Troy say, I'm going to point that out, and then Lisa, you say that? I don't think so. I actually don't believe that at all. Well, actually, I'll check with Ed Sfida and find out and report back tomorrow. Friend of the show, Joe Buck stats guy, a legendary stats figure in all of pro and college sports. But I was like, there's no way that was like choreographed, where Troy would say, I don't see him. And then Lisa, you say, no, there's no way. Because there is a chance that in their meeting with Brian Schottenheimer, he mentioned to them, hey, we're not going to start these guys because of blah, blah, blah. Don't say that, but it's a coach's decision. So maybe I was like, was it choreographed that Troy would point that out and then Lisa would pipe right in with an update? I don't believe that to be true. But what I'm saying is that's how well of a well-oiled machine that Monday Night Football crew is. That legit, Troy Aikman points it out. Lisa Salters is able to deliver an update within moments of him pointing it out. And also, we don't like the Cowboys because they're all about drama and blah, blah, blah. But if what I'm reading is true, somewhere on the sideline is Tad Carper, their PR guy, vice president of communications, where Lisa Salters is able to find him and touch base with him and say, what the hell's going on? And he says, well, you noticed. Here's the deal. And like, that was a part of the broadcast that immediately grabbed me. And then Quentin Williams was grabbing Geno Smith all night long to the tune of a bunch of hurries and 1.5 sacks. Remember, he's the Cowboys' new defensive lineman that was acquired in a trade with the Jets. That if there's one thread here of positivity, that Cowboys fans can hang on to, it is that maybe, just maybe, the improvements made on defense could give this team a little life and maybe a little bit of a pulse. What do you think, Scotty? You got something to say?
I'm a little surprised by how I feel today about the Cowboys, Pete. This season's a wash. But I'm gonna tell you something. If they find a way to keep Pickens and Quinnen Williams, I'm very optimistic about the future. Way more so than I was a week ago. And by the way, I'm going to tell you another where I changed my tune because I need to admit when you're right and I'm wrong.
Interesting.
I was a very loud screw this hire with Brian Schottenheimer. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm all in.
Oh, really?
I think Brian Schottenheimer has the juice. And I say that because the guys were suspended last night for a drive. I say that because I've watched all the locker room videos, but particularly the one last night, talking about Marshawn and what they've had to go through the last couple weeks.
Marshawn,
bro, this roster stinks, and Jerry Jones has made some criminal mistakes with personnel.
Yeah.
But if you give this coach good personnel, and it remains to be seen if Eberflus is the DC or if he needs a different kind of guy calling the defense, but they really just need good personnel. I'm bought in to Brian Schottenheimer, and I didn't think I'd say that with a 4-5-1 team, but I think he's a guy.
Hey, what does
you were optimistic on that. I was not. Thank you.
What does Mosley say about him?
I might ask him today. We haven't. I think he was also.
I think everybody
unimpressed. Unimpressed by the hire, underwhelmed by the hire.
It was just more Cowboys nonsense. It's the same stuff we talk about with Baylor. It's like individually this stuff. Okay, maybe you're taking a chance on a guy, right, as a head coach, but in your overall totality, it's like the same old.
And the comp that's unfair, but it's the one I've got living in Waco where I am. You don't know who a guy's going to be as a head coach till they have that position, no matter what their accomplishments are prior.
Yeah.
Right. And in Waco, Baylor fans are going through, man, we've discovered we don't think this guy's a head coach, even though he's a phenomenal coordinator. And with Schottenheimer, it's almost the opposite. It's like, this guy's like a coordinator that just got replaced, calling plays. Like, what? He kind of gets elevated, and now you're seeing who he is as a leader. And I don't know. This Cowboys fan is like, I like who this guy is as a leader. I like who he is. And the players, I think, clearly respond to him, respect him, love him.
Yeah, I believe there's like a little bit of light here at the end of the tunnel.
Yep.
For sure, for Cowboys fans. And I was the Marshawn Nealon stuff, like that was super moving, and everybody with the shirts on.
Yes.
And the only thing that, and I don't mean to be dark about this, but I'm like, and this is where, God, this is a heavy topic, but Marshawn Nealon's gone forever. And last night was special for the Cowboys, and they remembered him. And it was like, wow, like this is special. But he's gone forever because of what, the mental health thing. And I'm just like, man, this is awesome, but like, he's not coming back. And week 5 next year, I don't know, like, not that the Cowboys should do something every game. It's just like, I just hate how permanent the tragedy like that is. That's just what I was thinking last night. I was like, this just sucks so bad. So anyways, tough pivot there, but the Cowboys, I don't think are long for this season, but I truly believe, like, if they go and play out of their minds against the Eagles and win at home next week, you have to pay attention and be like, okay, something is happening here, right? I think they have 6 games left, and those next 3 are tough, even though the Chiefs are struggling. And that'll be if the Cowboys can somehow beat the Eagles, and I'm hoping they don't, right? But if they do, they'll go to that Chiefs game on Thanksgiving, and that game will have a ton of juice, which will be pretty cool with Post Malone at halftime. Can't beat that. Also, right now, as we switch over to the Big 12, I'm starting to look at this weekend's games, and the BYU Cincinnati game is like, we'll talk about it on Inside the 12, right? And I'm sure we'll talk about it more here this week, but it is jumping off the page at me as like, first of all, okay, BYU fans, brace yourselves. I know you don't care. I know this doesn't mean anything to you because you're so hardcore, and I love and respect that. But the line on this game grabs me, right? 2.5 points BYU is favored by. Now, this Cincinnati team has been struggling of late. And this game they're playing is at home again this week, right? I'm not breaking any news. But like to go on the road, it's a 7 p.m. game, so it's going to be a night game on Fox, right? Big noon kickoff, or not big noon kickoff, but the Fox pregame show will be there in Cincinnati at Nippert Stadium, which will only add to the atmosphere and the energy of the crowd. It's going to be a long day. There's going to be a lot of boozing going on. That will be a scary environment for just about anybody going into Cincinnati to play the Bearcats on that Saturday night. And I have no reason to believe that Bear Bachmeier or BYU would falter, right? They control their path to the Big 12 title game if they can just continue to win out. And it's very clear that the committee loves teams who win games, particularly on the road in November. So this is a game where if you can win this game and if you can do it convincingly, you're playing against an opponent who college football looks upon as, Cincinnati was top 25 for a while this year. They're a reputable program. If BYU could go in there and beat them by like 2 touchdowns, it really, really helps their cause if you're to get a rematch with Texas Tech in the Big 12 title game and you were to lose that game, you still may have a shot at getting in. But if you beat Texas Tech, right, then you're definitely like, okay, you're an automatic bid. But if you lose that Big 12 championship game to Texas Tech and you win a game like this, like it's a scary game for BYU, but I also look at it as a real opportunity. And a loss really, it's not like, I was surprised this morning when I really did a bunch of digging into the numbers. Like Utah is going to have to win out and just hope for help from the committee and some chaos, right, in the SEC. That's what they'll have to do in order for them to make the college football playoff. So it's not like if BYU loses this game that all of a sudden you open the door for Utah. Now, it is quite possible. It's very slim. And we've got Glenn Parker coming up, former Arizona Wildcat, played in the NFL for 14 years, I think, started 174 games, right, for the Bills and the Chiefs and the Giants. This is a big-time NFL player with hardcore roots to Tucson and Arizona. So I want to ask him about Arizona, especially as they ramp up to play Baylor. But Arizona now is battling for an opportunity. But they're pretty much out of it. Arizona State is the school that you have to look at and say, okay, they're still actually in the mix, believe it or not. As far as percentage chances to make the Big 12 title game, I'll read them off for you. Okay. You've got Texas Tech, 97%, BYU, 75%, Arizona State, 17%, and Utah, 6%, Cincinnati, 1.5%, right? So those are opportunities just to get in there. Houston, 3.6%, and somehow Kansas State, 0.57%. So some crazy stuff has to happen there. But this is also, Cincinnati is a team that plays physical November type football. And BYU plays somewhat of the same. I think the key for BYU in a game like this, and this is not like I'm uncovering some huge football information here, but BYU just got to take care of the football. When you look at their loss this year, their one loss, it was to Texas Tech, and they lost the turnover battle 3-0, right? Texas Tech had 3 takeaways. BYU had 0. And one of those was a muff punt by Parker Kingston, like something that will never happen again. So you've just got to hope that you can hold on to the football, have some explosive plays, but also control the tempo and keep Cincinnati in that potent offense because, they can run the ball at you, and then they have Brendan Sorsby, right, who can put it right over the top and dink and dunk you as well. So it's going to have to be like Cincinnati has a very experienced front seven, right, led by Dante Corleone, the Godfather. That guy is in on a lot of plays around the line of scrimmage. He's somewhere, I think when you look at this BYU defense and you start to think about, okay, how are we going to, at the Cincinnati defense, and you start to think if you're Aaron Roderick and the offensive coordinator, like like Dante Corleone is one of those guys, like he's a Tuesday problem. Like you're driving to work on Tuesday, if you're Aaron Roderick, and you're thinking like, how are we going to stop Dante Corleone? Like he's that big of a powerhouse up front defensively for Cincinnati. And he's just part of a really good front seven. So there's going to have to be an opportunity for BYU to take control of the game early. I do feel like this is probably the most underrated game on the calendar this college football weekend. But the good news is you won't have to look hard to find it. 7 p.m. on Big Fox. And it's something that I think a lot of people, it's going to end up. Here's the thing. This is where a game like this is awesome. And this is where the Big 12 has really come through for a lot of its fans and just its conference as a whole. You know, you go back, man, a couple years ago. I mean, probably 4. When these big time television contracts were on the table and when the Pac-12 still had a conference, and I'll say this before Glenn Parker comes on because I don't want to make him upset, but when the Pac-12 still had a real like heartbeat for their conference, like they kind of turned their nose up at some of these TV deals. And I'm not, I don't have all the details right here in front of me and I don't have them straight off the dome, but I know enough about them to know that the Pac-12 had an opportunity to solidify a television deal that would have put them into households all over the world, right? Specifically here in America on primetime games like tonight, right? And they thumbed their nose at that, at a couple television deals and possibilities. And, you know, Brett Yormark was there after taking over for Bob Bowlesby in the Big 12, and he found a way to put the Big 12 in everybody's living room in prime time, like Saturday, right? It's going to be, especially like in certain regions of the country, the Midwest and the Northeast, it's going to be cold. People are going to be inside. There's a holiday vibe. They're going to turn on the television and they're going to see right on Fox, right? BYU and Cincinnati. You know, like my dad, God rest his soul, would have found that. You know, like boom, boom. Oh, this game's on. Like I'm going to watch it. Like there is really still a major power of finding yourself and getting your product on those like Hallmark channels that are, you know, ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, and then, you know, main ESPN and ESPN2. So props to the Big 12. And I think that is what makes this game something that will be celebrated on Saturday. Now, if you're a BYU fan, you really need to hope that the Bear Bachmeier train just keeps going. And we've seen no sign of anything changing. You know, the key is, and I'll reference our boy Dave Aranda, because I listened to his whole press conference yesterday. And as downtrodden as this team is right now, and as much as they need to change, I still do love listening to head coaches talk. I listened to 2 press conferences, or I listened to a couple yesterday, 3. But I listened to Dave Aranda, and I listened to Mortensen, the coach for UAB, interim coach. He took over for Trent Dilfer because I have UAB this weekend, UAB and USF. But Dave said something that I loved. He just talked about how, you know, your future is not based on your past at all, right? Like you have to make decisions this week that will affect change and get you ready for this weekend, this Saturday. Nothing you did last week, good or bad, carries over, right? It's not like the old school cell phone plan, like rollover minutes. Like it doesn't. Like you have to prepare now to beat, if you're Baylor, Arizona, and if you're BYU, to beat Cincinnati. So I bring that up, like, you know, Bear Bachmeier just has to keep doing his thing. And that's why coaches talk about a process, right? And stick to the process. The process is what makes you great. And that brings me to what Mortensen said yesterday. He was talking about certain players that will play or not play for UAB. And he was talking about a guy that he really likes. And he talked about, you know, when you evaluate this guy, because Mortensen used to coach at Alabama. He's Chris Mortensen's son, by the way. He used to coach at Alabama for Nick Saban. And he said, my old boss used to say, you know, there were guys who were, you're either an and guy or you're a but guy, right? And that is basically like, you know, Bear Bachmeier. He's a dual threat quarterback. He can run you over, but he can throw over the top of the defense. And he's a great character guy. And he's somebody you can count on to be first in the building and last out. As opposed to John Smith, is a burner. He gets behind the defense. He makes amazing one-handed catches. And when he goes over the middle, he knows how to sit down underneath coverage. But he's a huge pain in the ass. His character sucks. He never goes to class, right? And I just love hearing stuff like that. Like, it makes me a better person. Like, I could sit and listen to coaches all day long, even if their teams suck, right? Like Baylor, because I still think you can find the gems in there, right? There's always like interesting nuggets of information. All right, we got big nuggets of information coming up on the other side of the break. Glenn Parker's going to join us, former Arizona Wildcat, longtime NFL offensive lineman. The guy played pretty much every position but center, and he started at all those other positions. So I'm pumped to talk to him about it. He also lost 5 Super Bowls. We'll definitely talk about that because you got to talk about that. I'm curious to see like where his head's at with that. But to lose 5 Super Bowls, you got to be on some of the best teams ever. So be cool to talk to him. The Pete Sousa Show is presented by Slovacics. We are back after this break.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports Pete.
It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Introducing Muck-Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. us.muc-off.com.
At 4U Health, we believe wellness and lab testing should be accessible, inclusive, and yes, fun. With our tech-powered at-home lab test, you save time and money while feeling your best. 4U Health. Visit 4uhealth.com today.
stability.
The Pete Sousa Show continues. We've been talking Big 12 for most of the morning, and we keep it rolling right now with a guy who played big-time football in the Pac-12, but we got him. We took him over to the Big 12. Glenn Parker joins us right now. Glenn, what's happening, man?
No, hey, just it's a great day to be a Wildcat here in Tucson. We got great weather. We actually have some rain, which we don't get much of, so things are going well here.
Dude, okay, so I want to talk to you about how the Wildcats are doing now, but I want to get into your career first, how you ended up a Wildcat. Clearly, I know your story because I'm a huge football fan, and I was a big football fan back in the day. Like when your teams at Arizona started to really emerge, like as a kid from the Northeast, like all of a sudden you were ending up on national television, and I got to watch Dick Tomey and his teams and your teams really make a mark in the Pac-12 and in the nation. How did you end up going to play for a guy like Dick Tomey? I saw something where you said, a lot of people choose a school. I choose the coach. And Dick Tomey was the main reason why you ended up going to Tucson. What was it about him?
Well, pretty easy, actually. So I didn't play high school football. And I was like I surfed. I was a beach volleyball, basketball at the courts, working as a bouncer, a lot of the Rams and a lot of NBA guys around all the time. And they're the ones kind of got me started. So I walked on to a junior college. And after my first year at that junior college, coaches, I had a lot of offers coming into that second year. And every coach that showed up at my place, it's a suit and tie. They were trying to recruit my mom and dad. And here I am. I'm 22 years old. And Dick Tomey showed up at my house in a Hawaiian shirt, flip-flops, and I said, that's my guy. He got me. He understood. This is a kid who's been surfing his whole life. He's not a football guy. He wants an experience. It's going to be fun and family, and guy's going to talk to me. He talked to me like man to man. He didn't talk down to me or tell my parents what he was going to use me for, how he recruited me. And that spoke volumes to who he was. And I think every player that ever played for Dick Tomey will have the same type of story that you felt like you had a real friend in that coach. And yeah, he was tough. He'd tell you straight up, I'm going to coach you hard and I'm going to love you harder. And that's the way it's going to be. And he never let off the pedal coaching, let me tell you.
And he probably was one of the guys. I mean, in a transient college football today, whether it's players or coaches, he came to Arizona from Hawaii and he loved it there. And as a player, did you get the feeling that like Ron McBride had to leave because he took a head coaching job at Utah, right? But like you knew I would imagine you knew that Coach Tomey was at Arizona to stay.
Yeah, I felt that. Both he and Coach Mack, who was the O-line coach that recruited me, McBride, they were guys that, as you said, it wasn't as transient back then. People wanted to make their mark. They wanted to become the head guy. So McBride left after my senior year, and I was happy for him. He got a chance to be that guy at Utah. He still lives in Salt Lake. It's still his home. He's still a huge part of the Utah family, just as Dick Tomey was before he passed. He came back to Tucson. When he retired, he was a part of the community. He went to Little League games. He was everywhere. This was home, and he wanted to make it home, and he did. If the university at that time hadn't decided to go a different direction, he would have still been here probably until he passed away.
What do people not know about the success and the teams that you had playing in Tucson with?
Well, we had more NFL guys in my 2 years. If you're looking at, it's a 4-year roster, obviously, but we had more NFL guys than at any other time at U of A. We're talking Chris Singleton, a number 8 pick to the Patriots, Anthony Smith, number 1 pick, I think at 14 or 15 to the Raiders, myself, John Neese. We Thorpe Award winner Darrell Lewis, who multi-time Pro Bowler. John Fina, first rounder for the Buffalo Bills. We had a lot of talent, and we just were trying to find our way offensively, but defensively we were stacked, and people didn't score on us. We went to Oklahoma and lost a tight game to the number 1 team, and the next year they came to us and we beat them. We played tough teams. We played UCLA when they're in the top 5 or 10 and beat them. There was no getting away from anybody. We didn't expect it. We were really proud of who we had on the field and the people that built us into that team.
Were you Pac-8 or Pac-10?
I grew up loving the Pac-8, but I was Pac-10. You know, Arizona State joined, it became the Pac-10, and then of course I was a part of the Pac-12 network when they expanded and went to that, and I dearly missed that conference. It was unfortunately, and the way it goes, as you know, college football, it's a money game now, and so teams made the best decision on their knowledge of where to go, and I think some of them really regret it now after a couple of years. I don't think anybody at USC or UCLA outside of the organizations, the schools themselves, would say that was a good move for them. The travel is too hard for the average athlete. Remember, football, they're going to charter a plane. Basketball, they're going to charter a plane. But everybody else, let's face facts. It's not easy to get to some of those schools. And they have to fly commercial. They have to get on buses. And I don't know that, I think they thought the trade-off money for what that was going to be great, and I don't know that they would love that. So far, we've loved being in the Big 12. We still get to play ASU. We still play Utah. They brought BYU into the fold. We got Colorado there, and so it's kind of fun to go to some of the places you've never been before. And just last week we go into Cincinnati, a place we've never been, and pull up the win. And talking to the players and the coaches and what they said afterwards, what a great experience. And it was right on campus. It's a very cool spot. So I think we're enjoying this trip, but I miss that Pac-12 in a big way.
Take me inside, the present day Arizona program. You're still very connected. What is it about this team that has them now playing such great football in November? I mean, this is where Arizona football, used to be, right? And is comfortable and familiar with being a team playing very meaningful games in the middle of November. What is it about this team that's enabled them to do that?
Well, I think if you look at first, it starts with the buy-in. The players this year bought in. And you hear that all the time. Coach speak, they bought in. But as a guy who goes to practices in the spring and in the fall, and I try to keep my finger on the pulse of this team, last year, when Brennan got here, he was late to get here. There, you had your typical new college way of doing things. Athletes who wanted to go where the old coach didn't go, and they're upset. You got guys who thought they should have been a star somewhere else, so they come here and they're not bought in. So there was a lot of kids. It just felt like they were there. And then this spring, it all changed because of every player that was here wanted to be here. They wanted to be at Arizona. They were looking to make their mark. And as the season has gone on, we had a new offensive coordinator, new defensive guys. They had to figure out who they were. And I think as the buy-in has continued, the great coaches that were brought in, but overall, I think it's the attitude of Brent Brennan, who if I was going to say anything about Brent, it's that he's and I hope that he would take this as a compliment. He's Dick Tomey reincarnate. He really is. He's a guy that he is a family guy. He loves his players. He coaches their tail off, but yet he cares about them. And I've known Brent a long time, and when they brought him in, I was really excited. And of course, the first year didn't go the way people want after the big Alamo Bowl win against Oklahoma a couple years ago. But they have to. I think all fans in college football got to get used to the idea that if you're not in Ohio State or Georgia or one of those, you're going to have up and down years constantly as you get turnover through the portal, through kids looking to leave, through NIL deals, all that. It's not our old college football, and it's not coming back anytime soon. So get used to the ups and downs. But going back to your original question, I apologize, is that I think it's
this is great. You're giving me all kinds of really good insight.
It's a mixture of kids who want to be here, coaches that came on to the staff, and the head coach creating a atmosphere of family first, players first, and let's get out there and win.
I could ask a million questions on the back end of that, but I want to start with this one. There's synergy there at Arizona. I thought what was such an interesting, a little turning point that grabbed somebody like me was the day of the Kansas game, or maybe the night before. Tommy Lloyd, Arizona had a game, and he, at the end of his press conference, he said, "Go to the game tomorrow." Talking about football, he said Brent Brennan, and he talked about all the amazing things that Brent Brennan is and will be, and and the team. And then you guys beat Kansas, and then you go on the road and beat Cincinnati. And I'm like, wow, Tommy Lloyd, like he definitely pulled some of us in. I thought that was a pretty interesting moment, and I thought it was inspiring from the outside looking in, at least.
It was for me as an ex-player and as a ex-coach at the U of A and someone who works here. I loved it. I'm at a lot of the basketball games as well. I'm on the road a lot of times, and Tommy Lloyd to do that, I think it meant a ton because we have a lot of people in this town that are basketball fans, maybe not necessarily football fans. And for him to say that, hopefully get the students on board, get the town on board a little more, I think that was huge. And it shows. For the Big 12 listener out there that's unfamiliar with Arizona, there were two classes in the Pac-12, right? You had your USCs, your UCLAs, your Stanford, your Cal, your Oregon, and your Washington. Those are, for the most part, big-time, big city programs. Everybody else is a small town, more isolated type place, particularly Arizona, Washington State, Oregon State, some of us. So in the Big 12, where you're out there in Manhattan, Kansas, or you're in Lawrence, or you're in Morgantown, it's a family. And I think our coaches across the board, every sport we have here, treat it like a family because we are a small town. We aren't a big city. We have to be a little more insular and look out for each other. And I think that's a big part of why he did it. And I think our coaches are friends across the board too. You see that quite often.
It's pretty cool. How about the development of Noah Fifita? It felt like last year maybe you could say was a step back. This year he's playing awfully well. Even, and he's also kind of had the ball bounce his way, right? Like mistakes that he's made haven't been cashed in on by the opposing defense, and he's found a way to shake it off and continue to play well. It's been that type of season for him and for Arizona. What have you noticed about his progress?
Well, I think first off, since he's been here, he's been able to shrug off a bad play, and that's a real maturity thing that he brought to the table as a very young player. But that being said, you're absolutely right. I think what happened is last year with a new staff, he still had his guy, T-Mac, Tataroa McMillan, first-round pick this year at Carolina. He still had him, and I think he was relying on that and leaning on that too much. And I think once T-Mac left and they brought in Seth Dagey, a new offensive coordinator who people in Big 12 country probably familiar with from his time in North Texas and at Texas Tech, obviously. I think that Noah started seeing the field a different way and the way that Seth sees it. And it probably took a few weeks, a few tight games for him to start really seeing it a different way. And since that's happened, this team is kind of snowballing, getting better and better and better. You always say you have to learn to win games, and double overtime loss to BYU, last play of the game lost to Houston. Those games, those are the ones you got to win, and you got to learn to win them. And I think kind of we're in that transitionary phase where, let's face it, at Cincinnati, that thing could have gone the other way. They made a game out of it, and yet this team found a way to close it out, and more importantly, Fifita found a way to overcome some bad plays and close it out. And I think that's a big part of it.
And Fifita still has another year left, right?
That's a good question. I think he's done. I think he's done.
Okay.
I think
you and I should know that. We'll have to figure it out.
I should know that.
I should know it. I think a feather in the cap, though, for Arizona right now is you look at the point spread for BYU Cincinnati. BYU is only a 2.5-point favorite going in there. I mean, that was a hell of a win for BYU, for Arizona. What's the ceiling for this team this year, you think?
Well, I'm one of those guys that thinks you should win every game. And if you don't feel that way as a player, then you probably shouldn't be on the field. And I felt that way as a player in the NFL. There's never a game I thought we're going to get beat. And so I think the ceiling right now is to win out, is to get a win against Baylor, who I think is a really good team that just has had a few things go against them, and to get that team up north off the field. And if we can do that, we're looking at a much better bowl game for ourselves, a little more money, as certain bowl games don't pay enough to offset that cost of the travel and the tickets. And I think that's our ceiling right now is to get to that 9-win mark, get to a better bowl game and beat whoever we face, and kind of announce to a lot of the recruits out there and the people around the country that Arizona football's didn't take much of a break, and we're back, and it's time to start seeing the good things that happen down in the desert.
So, Scotty, hold on one second. Did we just get, is that a real headline? Hold on. Yeah, sorry. This is an interesting topic to bring up with you. So Sam Levitt, is he going to transfer? So Sam Levitt is apparently leaving. You probably already knew this, but he's apparently leaving. Yeah. So he's leaving Arizona State to transfer. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, because he was first of all, I think what Kenny Dillingham's doing is amazing, right?
Yes.
I mean, it is amazing.
Yeah, objectively, yes, he's doing amazing. He really has.
Yeah. So what do you think about, I got to ask you, just because you're out there in the desert, what do you think about that move?
I think it's a mistake. I think he's got a good team under him. I think he's done really well for him. And I think if this is a move he's making because someone beat him out or let's face it, he was injured and he's trying to come back from that. I think it's always a mistake for a person to leave a situation where you're known and you're wanted to go somewhere on a gamble that you're going to do better. The vast majority of quarterbacks that we see transfer don't do better. And the fact that people can point to, the kid at Vanderbilt,
Diego Pavia.
Pavia, yeah, from New Mexico State to Vandy. Oh, it worked out. Well, if you're pointing out the exceptions, you're proving the rule. And the fact is, most just don't do as well. You're better off, with a system, coaches, players, a place, than disrupting everything in your life and to chase either a few more dollars or some playing time that you don't know is going to happen. And I had this talk years ago with Matt Scott when Nick Foles beat him out. When Nick Foles beat him out, Matt said, I think I'm going to go. And I said, his parents and we all talked, and he decided to stick it out. And so Nick Foles goes to the NFL. Matt Scott is our QB when Rich Rodriguez comes in, and he is the perfect fit for that system. They go on to win the Pac-12 South, playing the championship game, and he gets himself a few years in the NFL. And then none of that happens if he transfers. I'm certain of it, because it's too big of a learning curve for most of these quarterbacks to go to somewhere else. Now, granted, the game has changed. A lot of the teams are running the same stuff, but I'm usually against it. I think it's better to stay home, stay where you wanted.
Last one, and this is like a bug up my ass about. So I'm calling a game this weekend. It's USF and UAB, and Mortenson's son is the coach for UAB, and he was asked a question. How do you motivate guys with bowl? You're out of bowl eligibility, and I was listening to Baylor's press conference. The same thing was asked of Dave Aranda. Hey, you guys now can't win the Big 12 championship and the bowl. How do you motivate them, Glenn? When you were a football player, an opportunity to play on a Saturday and compete with your brothers was just enough. I mean, more than enough, right?
Sure.
I'm hearing these questions and I start to get annoyed. I'm like, what the hell is happening? Doesn't that shock you that we've got, and both of the coaches were like, if you can't get ready to play, you got a problem. But do you see that now in college football? And what do you think about it?
You do see it, but I think it's more than just college football. It is our youth of today in a culture where they have immediate feedback loops through social media, where they're told they're awesome and they get followers and they get likes and they have dopamine, and the work ethic is seriously lacking in so many of these young people. And I'm not just talking athletes.
Sure.
Across the board, you see it. The inability to stick to task, to be excited about the process, something Nick Saban talks about. It's the process. To be excited about that. To be excited about the things you have to do every day to be great. And listen, we played in a bowl game my senior year. There were people saying, "Well, are you going to play?" I just bought myself an insurance policy. Just got an insurance policy in case I got hurt. That's what I did. And then I played in the Senior Bowl, which nowadays you got these kids. No, I'm not going to play any of it because I don't want to get hurt. Maybe hurt my stock. Maybe lose some money. And it's like, who's telling them this? Uncle Bobby? Uncle Bobby tells them they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, so they stick with that. And I do. I believe it's a cultural issue, not a sports issue. It's across the board. These kids are always looking for the next big thing, then the get rich quick. I want to be rich now. I'm going to be on Instagram, be famous, or OnlyFans, or one of these other platforms. And it's unfortunate for them because they're not learning what it truly takes to be great.
No, it's a bummer. You mentioned the insurance policy and going to the NFL. You get to play for Marv Levy in Buffalo, out of Arizona, on some of the most electric teams that the NFL has ever seen. What was that experience like when you walk into the locker room in Buffalo and all of a sudden you're on an instant contender and you're right there in the middle of it? You started 141 games over your career, played in 174. You were right in the thick of it right away.
Yeah, you come into a pretty a veteran, a lot of all pros. You don't fit in as well because you're a young guy. For me, it was hard because as the youngest offensive, I was really a rookie for like 2 or 3 years on the offensive line, so we didn't keep anybody. It was all back in those days. You got to remember, we didn't have the salary cap and we didn't have free agency right away. It didn't really start till my 3rd or 4th year when we got it. And so you had backups that had been there their whole career. You had guys 8 years in the league, never really started a game, and yet they were the backup. So it was a lot tougher to break in, and emotionally and I guess socially than it is now, because now they're all just young guys, because you don't keep an old guy who can't play. If he's not your starter, he's gone. He cost you too much money. A young guy, he has a lower salary cap hit. So it was a little tough at first because I had to, I was the only unmarried lineman. I was the only guy who didn't know kids, and just to, like by all metrics, I'm a different breed of cat anyways. So, it's just like it took me a while.
You're a surfer that's out there near Canada.
Yeah, I was cold. Trust me. It took me a long time, but it was fun because we talk about learning to win. That's where I learned that you have to learn to win. Everybody said we were going to be great. We won the first couple games. I was starting at left tackle for a guy that was holding out. And then I moved to right guard as a starter. And we had to learn to win. I remember we played, it was, I think, our 3rd game of the season or something like that. We're playing Denver. I'm starting at left tackle. And we're getting beat. Elway and them are beating us right in our home field. And in about 1 minute and 17 seconds, we scored 21 points, I think, something like that, or 17 points in 33 seconds. I forget what it was. It's some crazy number. But we had a blocked field goal, we had an interception, we had a fumble, and we win the game. And I'll never forget, after that week, our practices went from like a 2.5-hour practice to an hour and 40 practice, because we did everything correctly from then on out. There was no horsing around. It's almost like a collective, and I didn't know it at the time. It took reflection on this to see how it changed. But the guys that have been there a long time talk about it. Like, that was where everybody realized how good we could be if we just showed up every day and did our thing. And we got real serious after that. And it was, we went 13-3 that year, and obviously lost a tight Super Bowl. But that's where it all changed. And you have to learn to win. And it taught me a lot of lessons about that, and about what's important, and how you become a better football player, and how you study film. And most kids today in college have no idea how to study film. A lot of the rookies don't know. It's something you have to learn. And so it was a learning curve, but it was certainly a lot of fun.
So you mentioned you lost 5 Super Bowls, right? You played in 5. I mean,
that's what I say.
You're playing 5 Super Bowls. You got to be on 5 amazing teams. So
exactly.
I mean, you actually, like, I was thinking about this morning. You lost a Super Bowl at the Sombrero in Tampa, and then you lost a Super Bowl at Raymond James in Tampa. You 2 different stadiums in the same city. What did you learn from that? Ultimately being a winner, but then at the very end suffering this academic defeat, right? Where it's on the field, it's like, damn, we lost. But what did you learn from that, and what did you take away from that and you share with people?
Well, first off, in order to lose 5 Super Bowls, you have to play in 5 Super Bowls. That's a big one. You just named 2 of the things I always say, and I was a part of 5 great teams. Most players never get to be to 1, and I got to go to 5 and play in them. And then I look at, it was our off season. It was how we went back to work. When you play in a Super Bowl, you lose about a month of your off season that everybody else has. So your rest period is shorter. Your self-congratulatory period is shorter. You got to get going. That work ethic. And from there on, I don't know that I ever took more than about 2 weeks off after a season. And because I knew I couldn't. I was always tended towards the large size in the middle. I tended to gain a little belly. So I had to keep that under control. I knew that my weakness was my strength training, because I was so late to the game of football. So I had to work on that. So I think what I learned most in the self is that I had to work harder, and I had to get back to work right away. I had to fall in love with that process every single year. In the big picture, I learned that the vast majority of people will never excel in life because they can only look at the loss someone sees or feels and never understand what it took to get to that point. And that's why so many people in this life will never be great in their field, because they're more afraid of what people will think of them than they are of failing. And that's big. It's that fear of what other people think controls their lives, and it won't do it to me.
Dude, you played. I mentioned 171 games. Okay, how is you're clearly like sharp as a tack mentally. How is your body at this phase in life? Really, like you're in the trenches for in one of the most physical times of pro football. How is your body today?
Well, I've had a lot of surgeries. I've had an ankle replacement, a knee replacement. I've had a couple spinal fusion. I've actually lost track of the number of surgeries I've had. I know it's over 25, closing in on 35, but that's over the years. Little things. Get something cleaned out. Get this done. Get that done. I still get to the gym every morning. I still try to walk every day. I was surfing up until the ankle replacement and the spinal fusion, which was about 4 years ago now. But I'm close. I'm close to popping back up. And if I can't get it this off season, I'm going to have to go to stand-up paddleboard and be an old man out there, a sweeper, and that doesn't thrill me. That does not thrill me, but keeps me in the water. So I'll do what I can.
Keeps you in the game, dude. Glenn Parker, thanks so much, man. I kept you way longer, and it was a blast talking with you.
Hey, I loved it. Thank you so much, Pete. And anytime, call me up. I'd love it.
You got it, man. Glenn Parker, thank you so much.
All right.
Legendary NFLer, legendary Arizona Wildcat. And I didn't even get to some of the other stuff. So in 97, he starts 15 games at right tackle. This is when he was with the Chiefs. 98, 15 starts, played right tackle, and left guard. And then in 99 with Cincinnati or with the Chiefs, he played 11 at left tackle. That was just when he was in Kansas City after 7 years in Buffalo. And then he goes to the Super Bowl with the Giants before he retires, that they lost to the Ravens. All right, the Pete Sousa Show. Thank you so much to Glenn Parker, Chris Visser again, the operator making it happen. That was a hell of an interview. We'll be back. We got more on the Sam Levitt story, obviously just breaking. It was really cool to get Glenn's opinion on that, and then talk a little bit about James Franklin and a little bit of Dave Aranda and Baylor, and then we'll get out of here. I got a haircut appointment at 11:35. All right. And the Pete Sousa Show continues after this.
With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
Designed to elevate the off-road experience, enabling adventurers to conquer any terrain. For 50 years, you've trusted us on your toughest recoveries, to your most breathtaking destinations, and in countless unforgettable memories.
We offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at bizchair.com to transform your business.
But boy, it looked effortless.
Man, watch this.
Layups, floaters, threes. He was like an unsolvable equation.
I was born like this.
His resilience, his strength, his belief, adversity never stood a chance.
Know your power.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit vivosun.com today and get started making growing plants and vegetables easy and automatic.
WhyPersonalLoans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit personalloans.com today.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on the screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
It's the Pete Sousa Show.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
I am obsessed with helping business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. It's this amazing platform where people are looking for ideas, inspiration. They have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution.
Stability.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Sousa to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code Sousa. That's SOUSA. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
Yo!
Pete Sousa show. We're here. Scotty's here. And am I still muted?
I can't tell.
Oh, I am not. Okay, good. Sometimes there's this little bar underneath that shows me when it's catching audio, and sometimes StreamYard is like just a little bit behind on that. StreamYard calling you out. Underdog, guess what, Pete? I won money last night on Monday Night Football, and this is a credit to Underdog. I won money because Underdog lets you do a flex pick. So I made 3 picks for Monday Night Football last night. I went 2 for 3. Guess what? Won money. Great way to play Underdog. Here are my picks for tonight, Pete. Some NBA action going on, and I am really excited about this. First of all, you tell me Jimmy Butler is not going to make a three-pointer in a ball game? Come on now. Higher than half a three-pointer made against Orlando. Derek White, I think, has 5 straight games over 18 points, so easier for me to pick higher than 14.5 points for him tonight as Boston takes on Brooklyn. De'Aaron Fox, meanwhile, only has 1 game in the last 5 where he's gone over 24 points. So I took him for lower than 25.5 points. We know who the offense runs through in San Antonio, and it's not the point guard. It's the big guy, right? And then Luka Doncic, again, this to me is so easy. When they let you combo points plus rebounds plus assists, we know Luka does all 3 well. Lakers take on Utah tonight. By the way, did you see what Keontae George did for Utah over the weekend, Pete?
Yes, I did. He's
huge shot, huge game-winning shot for Baylor's own. Luka's going to go higher than 44.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. If you want to play along with me, those are my picks. You can make your own at Underdog. Use that promo code Sousa. It'll get you a bunch of free bonus cash when you put in $5. Great way to play And we love underdog.
Yeah, we do love underdog. Excellent work, Scotty. Way to make gambling look appealing. Even
Not
though
gambling.
it's not gambling, it's not.
It's a fantasy game.
It is a fantasy game. I make gambling look unappealing because I have not done well. I actually kind of put that on ice. Hey, okay, real quick. We got a couple things to talk about. I do want to get into a little sports media news. It's been announced, and the people have spoken once again. And this was not an official vote, but it feels like it. I don't like when social media comes to life and they can push networks to make decisions. But in this case, I'm actually okay with it. One, because I work for ESPN, and two, because I do think that my man, who I love, absolutely love, have loved him since I was a kid, reading him as the beat writer for the Philadelphia 76ers. He's got journalism in his bones, and he's got charisma just oozing out of him, and he's moving towards politics. And Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. is in so many different places that it was unfortunate his coverage of the NBA last year was, one, it was over the top. It was out of control, off the rails. Like him and Kendrick Perkins in particular at the finals was like, I am all about like bonkers television, but I was like, what is happening? And I could tell that something was bubbling up, but I really did believe that Stephen A. Smith was bigger than the network, and that he would just continue to do whatever he chose. Now, he may have made this decision on his own, but he is off NBA Countdown. As of this morning, it was just announced, the worldwide leader. I'll take this just from a New York Post article. ESPN is making changes to Stephen A. Smith's on-air duties. The worldwide leader announced this week that the new look NBA Countdown team will debut Wednesday, and Smith was noticeably missing from the lineup, which includes Malika Andrews alongside ESPN writer Brian Windhorst, 2023 champion with the Nuggets, former head coach Michael Malone, and Kendrick Perkins will still be there. Shams Charania will also contribute. Look, I think that's fine. I mean, like, it's, between First Take and all the other shows that Stephen A. does, he does his radio show that I hear on Sirius. He has another show that he does, Straight Shooter, I think, with Stephen A. It's the same name as his book, and he talks about anything he wants to under the sun there, and he generates a ton of money and a ton of numbers. That's fine. But I did think it was worth noting. And I do believe that maybe some of the public outcry for change, specifically last June during the finals, has brought this on. But yeah, that's an interesting change. And I'm sure I do get annoyed with the way this stuff is reported. Like, people are saying that Stephen A. Smith was fired. No, he wasn't, dude. He wasn't fired from the NBA show. Like, stop. It's so annoying. It's the same shit people put out last year that I had to do a big rant on. That people said Howard Stern's getting fired from Sirius. It's like, knock it off, dude. Like, sometimes changes happen within organizations and networks, and people's roles change and contracts expire, and whatever. But people love the hyperbole. All right, more hyperbole. We don't have to create it here. Sam Levitt is leaving Arizona State. This was a development while we were talking to Glenn Parker. And Glenn Parker, former Arizona Wildcat and NFL veteran for many years, played in 5 Super Bowls if you're just joining us. He weighed in on the Sam Levitt thing, and I thought it was really cool how opinionated he was right away, because we told him about the breaking news, and he mentioned, hey, I don't like this. This is not a good move. He's going with a bunch of, there's all this shiny stuff over there because the spot is hot right here, right now, right? I mean, Levitt's been hurt a lot. Jeff Sims has played well. I'm sure his agent has been fielding other opportunities. And, in the Wild West, like, this is how we roll, that Arizona State, with a couple games left and still honestly, I read it before to start the program. Arizona State still has a 17% chance of making the Big 12 title game. Now, that's an extremely long shot, but they're 7-3 overall and 5-2 in the Big 12. And their quarterback, who everybody thought was going to be the best in the Big 12 this year, is getting ready to bounce. That's a pretty big deal. and I'll be interested to see what happens. Scotty, any thoughts? Scotty's he's ready to go.
Man, I'm not ready to go. I would just say this is the side of college football right now that I think the haters are kind of right, and I'm generally very pro NIL. I don't think it's ruined the game. I think college football is still the best sport in America, but this is where I'm like, dang it, dude. Like he could come back next year and win the Big 12 again. And Kenny Dillingham is killing it. And I love having that team be so successful in my team's conference. And, On3 reported it, and I'm sure details will emerge in the next 2 days, Pete. But On3 reported this as if he's just being shopped. He just wants to go get a bag. And
who reported it? Pete Nakos?
I believe so.
That's my guy. I like that.
And
I don't know him at all, but I think he's a good young journalist.
We covered this ad nauseum when Rob Wright left Baylor to go play at BYU. I do not blame a young man for making as much money as he can while he's healthy and playing football. That's fine. But I do kind of hate it. I kind of hate that, like you said, the season's not even over. This
doesn't even happen in the NFL, dude.
Correct. Right.
I don't think. I mean, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I would also say, and by the way, he took the words right out of my mouth. Glenn did. For most of these quarterbacks that leave, the grass is not greener. And if Arizona State if Sam Leavitt came back to Arizona State next year and put a performance on tape like he did last season, he's probably going in the first round of the draft next year. Whereas look at a Carson Beck, who's probably played his way out of the first round of the draft.
Yeah.
From transferring and trying to play more, and there's other examples, I'm sure. I wonder sometimes at Baylor if Blake Shapen stays at Baylor and gets to play in this Jake Spavital offense last season. Is he more of a draft prospect than he is now that he transferred to Mississippi State?
I had never even thought of that because I'm so in love with Sawyer, but that's a good point.
But I mean, the grass is not always. Do you think Nico Iamaleava is happy that he left Tennessee for UCLA? No way, dude. No way. And so I wish Sam Leavitt the best. I hope he plays great football next year and gets into the playoff and gets drafted. But it does suck. It sucks.
Fun. Yeah, on the surface it blows. And
there's a fan, it's not fun.
Yeah, there's a lot we don't know about the situation, right? But it sucks. It totally blows.
And who knows, dude? Maybe Dillingham leaned into his ear this week and said, "I'm going to LSU." Maybe they both end up at LSU and suddenly it's a fun story. But right now, if it's just we're shopping him, he needs to make some money. It's I hate that. I hate that for the sport.
It is very rare that I get pissed about transactions and stuff. If Kenny Dillingham leaves Arizona State for another school, I will be
livid.
I will be hurt.
Yes.
I will be hurt. I'll be emotionally hurt because all he sold to us is, and I'm not saying he sold it to us, all he's told us, right? And I can only imagine it'll be the truth, is that he loves, he's a Sun Devil, dude. He's not in a world where everybody's chasing the next job. He is not, right? From that area, from Tempe, from the area, went to Arizona State, was coaching there when he was in his 20s, right before he started to get other jobs and made his way back as a head coach. So yeah, that would really, really bum me out. Another thing that's bumming everybody out, and that's why I listened to the press conference yesterday. We didn't talk much about this. But once again, and I swear, I'm not going to make this another local media stinks rant, but so I listened to Dave's press conference yesterday. Somebody asked a good question. You always talk about the players.
I think it was Smokey.
Well, no, whoever asked about how are you doing?
Yeah.
With the noise. Yeah. I don't know who asked it. Who was the girl that asked the question?
It was either Smokey or Bryce Cherry. I don't remember who.
I was nice to hear a female voice
Agreed.
in there. It was the first. I mean, I'm sure I haven't listened to every press conference, so I'm sure there's been plenty of females in there. But the ones I've listened to, I haven't heard any. So that was kind of cool. There's a little bit of vocal fry there too. It was so what do you think about player? I was oh, this is great. We got a little new flavor in here. But Dave was asked about how he's doing and how he blocks out the noise. And the dude is so great in moments like that. He was just he's I work. Basically, there's what he said, and I can interpret it for you. He basically said, I work my ass off and I don't go to my phone. Now, when he said that, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Because I was under the belief that Dave Aranda was a guy who doesn't go on his phone at all. Like, he just strikes me as that kind of bunker mentality dude. So I was like, whoa. Let's get like a follow-up here. Like, can somebody ask Dave, like, do you have alerts set on your phone? Like, do you have like ESPN alerts? Like, when you go to your phone, what would you look at? Like, I was dying for that follow-up. And of course we didn't get it. But he did say, he's always going to be honest. If he goes into a topic, he's going to be honest about it. Like, if he's not comfortable with the topic, he'll just shift and won't talk about it. Like, he's not going to talk about Mac Rhodes or his job security. He does not want to talk about that. And I get it. You know, I will say again, and you can't change who somebody is, but I was out on the Cameron Park Trail yesterday listening to that press conference. And I was like, Dave, if you would take 20 seconds and just be like, I know this blows for Baylor fans, and I hate it for you guys. And we haven't come through. Like, give me a little bit of that, like a little bit of like. Go ahead.
To his credit, I'm not going to be just quick to give Dave Aranda a lot of credit in this season. He did say, I know this sucks for the fans. He did mention that. It was in some answer. He was talking about how important it is to win. He said, I feel bad for all the Baylor fans. We need to win.
Yeah.
And so listen, could he be better with the media? Duh. But like, did I appreciate that? Like, I appreciated that statement from him.
And did you watch the whole press conference or listen to it all?
I did.
What about the end? Like, I couldn't believe it's so funny. Like, there was actually a funny light moment where they talked about the people taking their shirts off in the second level.
Yeah.
Dave said he had a friend come in town that was so inspired by that. He went up to that second level, took his shirt off and waved it around. And Dave, this guy's probably normal, his friend. And Dave, like, still is like, yeah, he had to do it. Like, it's just like, and I was even thinking yesterday, he's such an interesting guy. Like, the fact that he was talking about the Wolf of Wall Street this preseason means he had to watch it. Like, whose idea is it for Dave to watch Wolf of Wall Street? Does he say, like, yeah, I want to watch that? I don't know.
I heard we want to be a record-setting program, and I heard they set a record in that film.
Exactly,
the
dude.
record for most profanity in a film.
So I had to see it. Exactly. That was
and it was a little out of my wheelhouse, but you can always learn from people that set records.
He is like, and he still does. I asked him before the Kansas State game because I was like, because I know what's going on, and you don't get one-on-one with him that often. So I was like, do you still read like daily devotions and pray in the morning? And he was like, dude, without that, I would be like, I would have no chance. That's basically what he said. He said, oh yeah. Like every morning, like, he says he gets into, I think he reads from the Bible, and I think maybe he writes and he reads other stuff.
By the way, I think that was part of his pitch to keep his job. Did you hear him kind of like pitching himself to keep his job a little bit low key in one of those answers? He said he was talking about the fan frustration, and he said, I get it. He's like, but for these guys, like, he said, these guys are graduating. We've got great GPA. They are set up for life. They are coming to Christ. They are being baptized. They are. He was like raving about his players, which I appreciate. Like, and we've said I've said all season, maybe not all Baylor fans. I love these players. I think these players are really good. I love that guys are, expressing their faith, getting baptized, whatever. I'm a Christian. That's great. Great by me. But like, I just wanted to be like, there are coaches that would also encourage that and win football games.
And he did
felt like a little bit of a plea for like, I'm still the good guy. You can keep in this.
Another little crack now as we just analyze this. I thought he was cool when he said he did admit that his job was on the line in a low key way when he was like, look, for we got to win for any chance at anything. I've got to focus on this game.
Yeah.
And we've got to win.
Yeah.
Like if anything is going to happen. Basically, he was saying, like, if I'm going to keep my job, like, we got to at least win.
We got to make a bowl game.
Yeah, we have to win.
At minimum.
And I was annoyed. I brought that up when we were just talking to Glenn Parker. Like, dude, I'm so sick of hearing how these guys got to stay motivated. I'm sorry. That's like the old man in me. It's like, first of all, if you go out there and you don't play 100%, you might get yourself hurt. Like, I don't understand the motivation. I don't understand that. All right, what did Bear the Truth say? I want to get into that because Brian's a good friend of the show. And early on, he sent us a note because James Franklin has taken over at Virginia Tech.
Bingo.
And that's a big thing that, we're just getting too late, but there was a lot to get to. What did Bear the Truth have to say?
He said, hey, boys, Do y'all think Virginia Tech has a better program than Baylor and can hire better talent? I have an opinion, but you probably have a better national perspective than I do.
I don't know about that. I don't think so. Okay, now here's why. I think they have a better coach, and I think they certainly have upside, and there's a ton they can do with it. I am of the thought right now, and you can probably reel me in. I'm like worried about the ACC.
Yeah.
If I was inside the ACC, I'm worried about the ACC. I heard stuff earlier this season from really good sources that there's a possibility that like you might see the Big 12 and the ACC team up and do a lot more stuff together, like down the line, even like conference media days.
Wouldn't be crazy.
Like now I'm to the point where I think that might not be a good look for the Big 12 because really like if you think about the ACC, you think about them as a perennial basketball conference. Well, the Big 12 is hands down a better basketball conference.
Correct.
And they're hands down a better football conference.
Correct.
So I think that is one reason why you would say, okay, maybe Baylor still has a better program than Virginia Tech. I think that this hire of James Franklin, because I just go back to his work at Vanderbilt, and I do think that he combines some of that stuff we were talking about, the charisma with the ability to identify talent that is needed in this climate. I don't know what the money situation is at Virginia Tech.
Bingo.
Yeah. Do you?
No, and you just nailed like 80% of my answer. So
Yeah.
I'll try not to be redundant. Yeah. Pros for Baylor. Conference, I would say history. Actually, Baylor has lower lows but higher highs than Virginia Tech, in my opinion. But I don't know about the money. And by the way,
Virginia Tech played in a national championship. It was a long time ago, but they did. And
okay, so let me amend my statement. Recent history,
yeah.
Past 30-year history, lower lows, higher highs is what I would say for Baylor.
Let's say 26 years ago they played in the championship, so it was 99.
Recent history. Yeah, I was gonna say outside of the Vic brothers, what are they? You know,
no, it's true. I mean, honestly, that's.
But here's where James Franklin, I think, might have made a really smart move here, Pete. James Franklin, I am sure, could have gotten one of these SEC jobs, be it Auburn, Florida, LSU. But if he's not winning the conference in 3 years, he's probably getting fired again, just because those schools aren't going to. Virginia Tech, not only will he keep that job as long as he wants it, because I think he's a great coach. I think he will have success. He might win that conference next year because they're down. Clemson's down. Florida State's down. Like, I kind of sort of bought into Georgia Tech this year. They've been a little underwhelming for the past 3 weeks. SMU had a peak last year. They're down. Like, there is no dog in that conference right now. You're telling me James Franklin can't get a great transfer class and be competing, be like 10-2 in the ACC next season? I think he can. So, by the way, all this, like, yeah, he can't win the big game.
That's very strategic.
That's what I'm saying. I think he made a really smart choice because I think Virginia Tech, with his coaching, with his ability to probably get guys in the portal, they could be in the playoff next year, dude. That's how wild this kind of era of college football playoff is. Plus, the ACC being the worst of the Power Four conferences, certainly this season. I think they could be in the playoff next year.
I think you bring up a great point. And I'm not treating the ACC like a mid-major, like NCAA basketball tournament team here. Well, let's go and win it. We'll get an automatic bid. Like, any of those teams can come back from the dead at any moment, right? Miami, or maybe they can't, but I do think of Miami, Clemson, who am I leaving? Georgia Tech, right? Like those are schools. I'm leaving one big guy out.
Florida State.
Like, so it's not like it's going to be a cakewalk, but if this season is an indication of things to come, like it's there for the taking.
Absolutely.
All right. Great point, Scotty. Great show today. Thanks to Glenn Parker. We'll be back tomorrow. We're starting early tomorrow, just after 9 o'clock, probably 9:05, 9:10-ish. And then we have Shahan Jayaraja at 9:30. I have a football call at 10:30 that we tried to change a million times. I can't get into it, but we can't miss that. All right. So, yes, that is it. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm pumped to talk to Shahan because I want to talk to him about Texas Tech. And I want to talk to him about the college football playoff and who's going to get in and who's not going to get in. Like what he thinks, like we're now coming down to the time where conferences have an idea of who they're going to get in. And if you do the math, it doesn't make sense. Like, there's going to be teams left standing when the music stops. And I'm curious to see who Shahan, with a few games left here, thinks those teams are going to be. All right. Thanks, Slovakics. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level when we shut down to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning. So we love Extraco.
Show. Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Show. Sports.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.